Rightio guys, welcome back to the On Throttle channel. I'm Matt, and today, well, it's all about installing this bad boy. So, B&B Offroad Engineering bash plate, skid plate, whatever you want to call it. It's going to provide a heck of a lot more underbody protection than the factory plastic unit. Yeah, first impressions are it's a really nicely made bit of kit. It's got some beautiful welds going on, holding all the pieces together, nice and thick, and remarkably light considering how thick this is. It's made of aluminium. This particular one is for the 250 Rally 2017 to 2020, and has a note: the lower two front fairing bolts do not need to be reinstalled with the bash plate, as the locating slots are sufficient to hold it in place. Now basically that is the only instructions that come with this. You're left to your own devices on how to fit it. So yeah, we'll pull the old skid plate off. It just takes a 5mm Allen key and I think it's a 12mm spanner. So yeah, we'll get the old one off, compare them, and then we'll whack this bad boy on. Righto, first goal, find out what the hell you did with your 5mm Allen key. Where the frick did I put it? Found the sucker. Right, so, pretty simple to get the factory skid plate off if you haven't done it before. You've just got these 4 little bolts holding the front plastic on. And so this has to come off, even though it goes back on, because it's part of what retains the factory skid plate in place. Now, according to the instructions, we're not reinstalling these bottom 2 bolts, partly because the new skid plate covers them up and you don't have access to them anymore, but also they've redesigned it so that the new skid plate actually holds this part of the plastics in place for you. I'm a bit overboard with this ratchet, but I have children and they magicked away a smaller, more suitable one. Like everything on these bikes, you don't want to over torque them when you put them back on, as I found out the hard way when doing my sump plug. That did not end well. Put these aside. That should just pull off. And that's one of the reasons we're replacing this. Huge ass rock sitting in there. Well, not huge, but decent sized, and that was stopping it coming off. Right, let's have a look at this compared to the B&B. Rightio, straight away there you can tell the B&B physically covers a lot more of your underbody. It's both longer and wider. It's got these nice tabs on the side, which will hopefully help protect the sides. If you look over here, hopefully come up and give a bit of protection for the oil filter cover. So obviously this is plastic, it's a bit of give in it. It's had a few bashes, a few scrapes, and a couple of these I put in on the 42 Traverse recently, and yeah, with my custom sump plug, which sits a bit lower than it should, there we go, there it is. Yeah, the idea of the B&B being there, nice sturdy bit of kit that it is. Hopefully that means I won't have to worry about that at all. Right, piff that off. I'm going to use that for a while, put it away in the shed. Time to install this bad boy. Okay, so B&B bash plate didn't come with any instructions, which Like, I know it's a pretty simple job on that, but it would have been nice to know what the intent is before just trying to figure it out. But looking at it, it seems pretty straightforward. Got two flush mount nuts here and what looks to be a racing plate. I'm guessing that's to space out bash plate from the frame, and these longer bolts look like they go in the front. Yes, you've got a decent bit of space to travel there. So let's give it a go. This may not be pretty. Okay, so it appears that this little bracket here sits up underneath your engine. There's a slight slot where the engine mounts to the chassis. I'll slot that in there, and then it is where your nuts are going to bolt into. Definitely fiddlier than it would have been. Don't go back on. This just slots in place. Should slot in place. So, line everything up, George. Give that as much help as a toddler dog. Sleep and leave me alone. Awesome, there we have it. B&B bash plate is installed. Right, let's pull the camera off. Just a quick up close look at it. Excuse the dog. George, what are you doing? Terrible helper. Right, so nice big wing that rises up to get out of the way, dog. Come on, out of this. That gives plenty of space to get my hand in behind there between anything apart from the brake lever. As you can see, my brake lever has already come in contact with my oil filter cover. But nice big wing, Should protect part of the fairing as well if I'm lucky. Right, so foam between the dash plate and the frame, keep noise down, in theory. Nicely mounted. So I don't know if you can see in there, no it doesn't look like it. But when you're mounting this, the bracket needs to be as far back as you can get it, and that way it will clear the engine mount, which sits about here. Otherwise your bolts won't go in. That was a quick thing I learned. Loving this. Plenty of space and strength, most importantly, over that custom oil drain plug I've got going on there. Up front, yeah, that's held in quite nicely, despite not having a couple of bolts holding it in. So the skid plate, bash plate, whatever, has some cutouts in behind it, so that all just slots in nicely. So overall, I'm really chuffed with that. Rightio guys, so I'm pretty happy with how that's come out. A bit fiddlier than I was expecting. Would have been really nice for B&B to have included some instructions so I didn't have to work out that bottom mounting by myself. Also some washers for the 8mm bolts at the front, probably something I'll have to pick up from a hardware store. But other than that, came together nicely in the end. It wasn't too much of a faff really. Hardest thing was keeping quiet enough to not wake the 2-year-old who's sleeping just next door. So yeah, the bash plate, it's been a long time coming. It's been on my list of to-dos for basically the length of time I've since I stuffed up my sump plug. So it's nice to finally get that properly protected. Next up on the bike is a set of Michelin tracker tyres, which are hopefully on the way. With price of fuel and everything, I'm not doing any touring. Weather's going to be a bit nasty. We're going into winter here in New Zealand, so yeah, we'll try those out. I'm not expecting to get the same kind of mileage from them as the Shinkos, but I'm expecting much better off-road grip. Other than that, yeah, hope this video's been of some use to you. I know I definitely would have liked to have had a install video to see when I was prepping for this, because yeah, I sort of had an assumption that you bolted it into the actual frame, and it's good to know how that goes on. They're a great bash plate. Took a couple of weeks for them to make it. Loving the quality. It looks great. And yeah, the longest time it took to get here was sitting at Melbourne Airport waiting to get to New Zealand. So yeah, thanks for tagging along for this wee video here. Hopefully it was useful to you, and yeah, give us a like, subscribe if you haven't, it'd be really appreciated. I love seeing that subscriber count tick up. Share the adventures, and yeah, I'll catch you on the next one.